Welcome to qiphyedu. Today we'll be looking at efficiency and market failure. So this is the second chapter in the A2 economics syllabus. So let's dive right into it. So first of all, we'll start off with efficiency. So with efficiency, we have two important phrases, which is Pareto optimum and economies of scale. Pareto optimum is when no reallocation of resources can make an individual better off without making other individuals worse off. Which means that, first of all, let's say I'm enjoying something. I'm enjoying something, but at the same time, not at the expense of actually somebody else's, let's say I can enjoy something without having other people to pay for it. Like, I won't, let's say I were to, like I'm enjoying music, for example, but I won't be like disturbing my neighbors. Then my neighbors will not be worse off in this case. So this can be defined with the formula of MSC equals to MSB, which is a marginal social cost equals to a marginal social benefit. So I can enjoy this thing at the same time. I'm not making other people suffer because of the fact that I'm enjoying to this thing, right? So like I'm enjoying. Let's say like so this would be when I can enjoy this thing at the same time other people can also do their things, and then they won't have to pay for the price of having to listen to you disturbing their daily lives, for example. Like economies of scale is when there's an increase in scale of production. This will lead to a production at lower LIEC, which means that if I were to expand my production, I were to create another factory, and then I can produce more goods. At the same time, I can produce the goods at a lower price. So let's say I were to sell the item at $20, but because of the fact that I expand my production, I can sell that particular item for $10. This would be a higher economies of scale. So I can produce more things at a lower price. Okay. And then for efficiency, there are two main categories. One is productive efficiency, another one is allocative efficiency. Productive efficiency is basically when a firm operates at minimum average total cost, choosing the appropriate combination of inputs and then producing the maximum output that they can. So let's say I want to produce X amount of goods. I want to produce X amount of goods. The cost that will be incurred to me for 1 unit of good would, let's say, be only like $20. That will be on the lowest point of the LIAC. If I were to produce more, it will result in me producing at a higher cost, because of the fact that I have let's say I have very limited resources. So if I have very limited resources, and then if I were to produce more and more and more, I will end up having to purchase more and more of these capital equipment. And then at the same time, I need to maintain these capital equipments. I will need to pay more maintenance costs. And then when you add up the ATC together, over that specific amount, I would then have to incur a higher cost, which can be shown with this curve here. You can see that the lowest curve would normally be in the middle. Well, in the middle would be the one with the lowest cost. But then if I were to produce more and more, I will then have to pay for more capital equipment, and then probably have to pay higher maintenance fees, and then I will incur a higher cost probably somewhere around here. So now let's say I were to be able to allocate my resources. I will have more resources, and I am able to allocate more capital equipment, and then producing the same amount of goods. And then in this case, I'll be able to shift my SAC curve to from SAC1 to SAC2. So I'll be able to incur a lower cost. So the average total cost would be calculated by taking your total cost of production divided by the quantity produced, which means that 1 unit, its total cost would be by ATC. The ATC itself would be the average total cost used to produce 1 unit of good. Okay, and then this is how productive efficiency work, is that I were to produce this amount of goods, and then being able to produce it at the lowest price possible. Okay, and then let's look at allocative efficiency. Allocative efficiency is basically when the price equals marginal cost. So the amount of resources to production to be producing the correct amount in the correct product in the correct quantities. So let's say I were to produce like, let's say 500 units of milk. That will be my supply. And at the same time, my supply would also be 500. My demand will also be 500 units. This would be allocative efficiency. So the fact that I'm producing 500 units of milk, and then the demand is also 500 units, means that I am achieving allocative efficiency, because even though like for productive efficiency, this only tackles production, allocative efficiency tackles consumption and also production. So I produce this amount of good, at the same time people also consume the same amount of goods. So I were to maximize my consumption and also maximize production, this would be my allocative efficiency. So I were to produce my price at the lowest marginal cost possible, and then this would give me allocative efficiency. All right. And then if I were to achieve both productive efficiency and allocative efficiency, this would be under economic efficiency. So using the same scarce resources, we'll be able to achieve maximum output. So we were able to allocate the correct amount of scarce resources and then producing the maximum output possible from achieving both productive efficiency and allocative efficiency, whereby I will be able to produce this amount of goods, and then I'll be able to save. I'll be able to produce it at the lowest point on the SAC curve, and then at the same time, and then selling it at the lowest price possible to the consumers. Right. So that will be for both productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. Right. Under productive efficiency, we have two other efficiencies, which is technical efficiency and dynamic efficiency. Technical efficiency is basically when we try to minimize our inputs of capital and labor. So let's say I were to produce like 500 units of milk. I'll probably need let's say 10 machines and then 10 workers. Now I'm able to minimize my capital and labor to only 5 machines and 5 workers to produce the same 500 units of milk. Probably because the fact that the 10 units of machine and the 10 workers, the reason why they're only able to produce up to 500 units of milk is probably because of redundancy. So let's say, for example, I'm able to produce 500 units of milk, but then at the same time, because of the fact that I do not really focus on specialization, and then I realized that this has resulted in inefficiency because I technically do not require to have 10 workers to actually produce 500 units. Because even if I were to hire 10 workers, if let's say they are lazy, then they won't be able to produce up to 500 units. So I might as well just leave the 5 very skillful workers to operate the 5 machines that I have that are in completely working condition, and then producing the 500 units of milk at the same time. So I might as well just forego the 5 workers that are less skillful, and I take the 5 workers that are skillful, and then I were to produce 500 units of milk with half of the machines available, and I'll be able to produce the same exact output. This would be technical efficiency. And then dynamic efficiency is when we take account the effects of innovation and technological progress. So let's say I were to I have this machine. Let's say this machine can only produce like 200 units of something. Then in the future, when new technological processes come out, I were to purchase that machine. It can produce 1,000 units of this particular item. So I would then purchase that machine in order to achieve dynamic efficiency. It will take time because technological processes will take time. You need like probably over a span of, let's say, 10 years and so on and so forth, probably even more than that. And in order to benefit from dynamic efficiency, which is to improve the technological processes, and then you want to meet changing needs of the market, then you'll be able to achieve dynamic efficiency by also adopting the newer technologies and also producing a higher level output probably from those machines. And then there's also another, basically when let's say there's inefficiency, we call it X efficiency. Assuming that I were to produce 3,000 laptops, for example, I want to produce 3,000 laptops. I'm able to produce 3,000 laptops at a cost of, let's say, 2,000 ringgit Malaysia. Which means that I would need to spend a total of 6 million ringgit to produce. Let's say this is 3,000, and this is and then this is 2,000. Then this means that I need to spend 6 million on this entire thing. Would be 6 million, and then this entire thing is 6 million. And then let's say other firms that are experienced, like let's say the firms that are already in the market for a very, very long time, then they will be able to produce, let's say, same amount but at 1,000 ringgit Malaysia. This would be 3 million ringgit in total. So the X efficiency, the entire area will be this thing. My 3 million ringgit that I could have saved if I were to be able to produce at a more efficient rate. So most experienced firms, they're able to minimize their inputs, minimize their capital equipment usage, and also maximize their output because of the fact that they were able to do specialization and so on and so forth in order to minimize their cost from 6 million to 3 million. But then because of the fact that I'm less experienced and my company is a startup, and then I need to spend more money just on producing this particular amount of laptops, I end up spending an additional 3 million ringgit just to produce the same amount of laptops. This one would be the entire area, the difference between what I pay and the difference between what the other experienced firms pay. The difference between those two would be my efficiency. I'm inefficient because of the fact that I spend more money than them, a specific amount. That would be my efficiency combined with the total output. Okay, and let's look at market failure. Market failure is basically a situation in which the free market equilibrium does not lead to a socially optimal allocation of resources, which is when, let's say, I were to produce this specific amount of goods. Let's say I produce like 500 units of goods, and then I were to, and then like let's say I were to purchase like this amount of goods. Like there's like overconsumption and then there's underconsumption. Like this would happen when it's a public good and it's a merit good or it's a demerit good. So then here we need to learn three more phrases, which is marginal social cost, marginal social benefit, and asymmetric information. Marginal social cost is the cost to society of producing an extra unit of a good, which is, okay, if I were to produce, like let's say I have 20 units of milk, for example. If I were to produce the next unit of milk, which is in total 21 units, what would be the marginal social cost that I would incur? If the marginal social cost would be higher than when I'm transitioning from, let's say, the 19th unit to the 20th unit, then of course I'll produce less of it. I'll produce it at 20. If let's say 20 to 21, the total cost is higher, because that means that I will need to spend more in order to produce the additional unit. So I might as well just optimize my output at that 20 units. So if let's say it's marginal social benefit is the additional benefit that society gains from consuming extra unit of good. So if I were to, let's say I were to produce like the same 20 units of milk, then if let's say I were to transition from the 19 unit to the 20 unit, I'll be able to get a benefit of, let's say, 50 units. The marginal social benefit is 50 units. If I were to transition from the 20 unit to the 21st unit, then let's say the marginal social benefit that I gain is 80 units, then of course I'll produce the additional unit of a good because it provides more benefits than before. So I'll try to maximize my MSB as much as possible to the maximum point. And then afterwards, if let's say I already reached a maximum point, the next point is actually lower than my previous MSB, then I'll stop producing at the next unit and I might as well just produce at the original unit that I have. So for marginal social benefit, is the more the better. Marginal social cost is the less the better. If let's say somehow you reach the minimum point and somehow it increases, then we have to stop producing at the next unit and then we need to produce at the point where the marginal social cost is the lowest. All right. So, yep. So then that's for marginal social cost and marginal social benefit. And then let's look at asymmetric information. Asymmetric information is a situation in which some participants in the market have better information. So like, let's say for example, I want to purchase like a car, for example. Let's say I really like European luxury cars. So let's say I want to purchase one. I realize that their resale value is very, very low. One day I went to the car dealer and then I want to purchase, let's say one of them, for example. I purchased one, and then when I go home, I realized that the car has very high maintenance costs. The parts, the import parts are very expensive. To fix the car is very expensive, and I end up having to sell the car at an even lower resale price. But then the car seller, he or she already knows that the car has very low resale value, and the reason for that is because of the high maintenance cost. But then he or she then says that, okay, since you're already really interested in buying the second car, I might as well just sell it to you because you are already interested in it. So it's not my fault that you have information failure, it's you who didn't do your research. And it's actually not wrong for the car seller to actually tell them the advantages of this car, because indeed there are many advantages. And then it's actually up to the car buyer to be responsible for his or her purchase of that particular good. You need to do your homework before you were to purchase the goods that you want to buy. Let's say the car itself has very high maintenance costs. Then the total cost that you have to pay down the road is actually much higher than if you were to purchase a locally produced car, or a car imported from, let's say, Japan or Korea, for example. Granted, Korean cars are actually the second-hand value is also very low in Malaysia. But then if let's say you will come to maintenance costs for European cars are actually relatively higher. So I might as well just purchase the car seller already knows about this, but then since the car buyer already wants to buy the car, then the car seller would then treat it as a way for him to earn money off his excess stock. So might as well just sell it anyways. So the car seller knows that the car has high maintenance costs, but the car buyer doesn't. So this is asymmetric information. Okay. And then there are reasons for market failure, and there are some of this that I will cover in the next few chapters. Externalities will be one of them. Externality is in the next chapter. Information failure is also in it's also part of, it could also be part of AS, it could also be part of A2, but we'll also be able to cover this in the next few chapters. And then merit demerit public goods is under AS syllabus. Firm dominance in the market will be under monopolistic competition or monopoly. This one would be in the next few chapters as well. But then for information failure, like I mentioned just now, you can see if you have lack of information, then then it's very likely that you'll make a wrong purchase. So you need to know the advantages of buying this car, and also the disadvantages that you get, or the caveats that you get down the road. So you need to do your research before you purchase a car. And then another example would be like if you were to purchase a phone, for example. If you want to purchase a smartphone, you will need to purchase the one that has that is reliable, or you purchase the one with the highest price to performance ratio. Again, this is also information failure, because if let's say you are a person who knows how to fix phones, for example, then you won't mind exactly buying which phone, the phone with the higher price to performance ratio, granted that there's no reliability, because you are able to fix it at a relatively low cost. But if you're the kind of person who cares about reliability, you end up buying the phone at a higher price with the same price to performance ratio as the one with the lower price. So this is also considered a part of information failure, because first of all, you know nothing about buying phones in general, and then you end up buying a phone that you may end up not even fully utilizing to the point until it will no longer work completely. So if you were to really want to buy a phone and you want to maximize your purchase, then you need to do your homework before you were to purchase goods like this. So it all comes down to the fact that you need to have adequate amount of information, or you should have a lot of information on the goods that you're purchasing, in order to ensure that you don't make a wrong purchase. All right. So that will be part of lack of information and lack of education. Merit, demerit, and public goods are really this one is already in the AS syllabus. This one I'll cover in AS chapter discussions. And then externalities and information failure, and also firm dominance in market, I'll cover in the next few chapters, because it is under the next few chapters. All right. So this is the end of this chapter discussion, and I hope you find this video helpful. Do share this video out to other people who may need help with A2 economics. And as always, stay tuned for the next few videos. Till then, this is qiphyedu. Goodbye.